I'm Mr. Gray, retired investigator. These are the stories that never left me.
Right before we dive in, just a small ask. If you enjoy this kind of storytelling, subscribe and like the video. It helps me keep creating more for you. In the heart of suburban Chicago, Elmwood Street stretched like a postcard from a bygone era. Lined with maple trees that turned fiery red in autumn, the street was home to modest two-story houses with manicured lawns, white picket fences, and the occasional swing set creaking in the breeze. It was the summer of 1998, and the world buzzed with talk of the internet boom and the impending Y2K millennium bug. But on Elmwood, life moved at a slower, more predictable pace. Children like Emily and Tommy Harrison rode their bikes up and down the sidewalks until the streetlights flickered on, signaling dinner time. Neighbors exchanged pleasantries over fences, waves from porches, chit-chat about the weather or the latest Cubs game. It was the epitome of the American dream, safe, suburban, and serene. The Harrisons lived at number 54, a cozy colonial with blue shutters and a flower bed bursting with Laura's prized tulips. Mark Harrison, 42, was an accountant at a mid-sized firm in the Loop, commuting daily on the Metro train with a briefcase in one hand and a thermos of black coffee in the other. He was the picture of reliability, tall, with salt and pepper hair, always in pressed shirts and ties. His wife, Laura, 38, taught third grade at Elmwood Elementary, just a few blocks away. She had a warm smile that could disarm even the rowdiest 8-year-old, and her classroom was a haven of colorful posters and hands-on projects. Emily, their 12-year-old daughter, was on the cusp of adolescence, obsessed with boy bands and her new diary with a heart-shaped lock. Tommy, at 8, was all energy, collecting baseball cards and dreaming of becoming a firefighter like the ones in his storybooks. But even in this idyllic setting, shadows lurked. It began subtly, with incidents that residents dismissed as minor nuisances. A cat named Whiskers went missing from the Johnsons' yard at number 43, posters taped to lampposts pleading for its return. Then a mailbox at number 58 was vandalized, its contents strewn across the lawn like confetti from a forgotten party. Probably kids, folks muttered, shaking their heads, or maybe raccoons rummaging for scraps. No one thought much of it until that crisp October evening when the first real crack appeared in Elmwood's facade.
Mrs. Evelyn Porter lived alone at number 47. Quaint bungalow with lace curtains and a rocking chair on the porch. At 72, she was a widow, her husband, George, having passed from a heart attack a decade earlier. Evelyn filled her days with gardening, baking pies for the church bake sale, and her weekly bridge game at the community center. She was a fixture on the street, always ready with a kind word or a homemade cookie for the neighborhood kids. But on that fateful Tuesday, she didn't show up for bridge. Her friends, a trio of fellow widows, grew concerned. They called her landline repeatedly, the rings echoing unanswered. Finally, they drove over, knocking on her door under the glow of the porch light. No response. Peering through the window, they saw the living room in disarray. Books scattered across the floor, a lamp overturned on the end table, its shade askew. The police were called. 2 officers from the Chicago PD arrived, their cruiser idling at the curb. They found the front door slightly ajar, as if someone had left in a hurry. Inside, the house smelled of lavender potpourri and stale tea. Evelyn's purse hung on the coat rack, her peas dangling from a hook. Her glasses lay on the kitchen table next to a half-finished crossword puzzle. There was no blood, no signs of forced entry, just an unsettling silence that hung heavy in the air. The officers filed a missing persons report, chalking it up to possible dementia or a sudden decision to visit a distant relative. Evelyn had no immediate family. Her only son had died young in a car accident, leaving her truly alone. Days turned into weeks. Search parties combed the nearby parks and woods, volunteers handing out flyers at grocery stores and train stations. The neighborhood rallied at first, with candlelight vigils on the street where Evelyn had lived. But as November's chill set in, hope faded. Then, on a foggy morning 2 weeks after her disappearance, a jogger in Willow Creek Forest Preserve stumbled upon a shallow grave near a hiking trail. The body was Evelyn's, partially decomposed but identifiable by her floral dress and the silver brooch she always wore. The autopsy at the Cook County Medical Examiner's office revealed the grim details. Manual strangulation, her hyoid bone fractured. Her hands had been bound with black electrical tape, the kind sold at any hardware store. Defensive wounds on her arms suggested a desperate struggle. And oddly, her wedding ring, a simple gold band engraved with "Forever George," was missing. It wasn't valuable monetarily, but sentimentally, priceless. Detectives whispered it might be a trophy, a memento the killer kept to relive the act. Lead investigator, Detective Sarah Klein, was assigned the case. At 48, with sharp features and gray streaks threading her dark bob, Klein was a veteran of the force, having cut her teeth on gang-related homicides in the South Side. She had a reputation for tenacity, often working through the night with a pack of Marlboros and endless cups of precinct coffee. Her partner, Mike Ruiz, was her polar opposite. Mid-30s, family man with 2 young daughters, his optimism a counterbalance to her cynicism. "This isn't a random burglary gone wrong," Klein told Ruiz as they stood over the gravesite, the earthy scent of disturbed soil mingling with pine. "Whoever did this knew her routine, watched her come and go. This is personal." The investigation kicked into gear. They canvassed Elmwood Street, knocking on doors and interviewing neighbors. Most expressed shock. Evelyn? Who would hurt sweet old Evelyn? But beneath the sympathy, suspicions simmered. Was it the new guy at number 52, Victor Lang, the quiet mechanic who moved in just months ago? He kept odd hours, his garage light on late into the night. Or perhaps the delivery driver from the local pharmacy who seemed to linger a bit too long during drop-offs. Klein noted it all in her notebook, her handwriting precise and unyielding. As word of the murder spread through local news channels, headlines blaring, "Elderly widow slain in suburban sanctuary," Elmwood Street changed. Doors that once stood open for evening breezes now locked at dusk. Curtains twitched as residents peered out, watchful. Block parties, once lively with barbecues and laughter, became subdued gatherings where conversations turned to security systems and self-defense classes. Mark Harrison, ever the cautious father, installed extra deadbolts on his doors and windows. Laura worried about the kids, keeping them indoors more than usual. "It's probably just a one-off," she said to Mark one night as they lay in bed listening to the wind rattle the panes. But deep down, she felt the unease creeping in, like fog rolling off Lake Michigan. Winter descended on Chicago like a heavy blanket, snow piling high on sidewalks and rooftops. By January 1999, the Evelyn Quarter case had gone cold, leads drying up like the frozen ground. The neighborhood tried to move on. Holiday lights twinkled, carols played from radios, but the memory lingered, a dark undercurrent. Then the second victim vanished. Jessica Mills, 29, was a graphic designer who worked from home at number 61, a split-level ranch she shared with a roommate, Amanda. Jessica was vibrant, with curly auburn hair and a laugh that could fill a room. She freelanced for ad agencies, her days spent at a cluttered desk surrounded by sketch pads and a humming computer. On a Friday night, she headed downtown for a girls' night out at a Wrigleyville bar. She texted Amanda at midnight, having fun, home late. But morning came and Jessica's bed remained empty. Amanda called the police after checking hospitals and friends. Jessica's red Honda was found abandoned in a parking lot near the L train station, keys still in the ignition, her purse on the passenger seat with wallet and phone intact. No signs of a struggle in the car, no witnesses despite the bustling area. CCTV was scarce back then. Most cameras were grainy or non-existent. Klein and Ruiz were pulled back in, recognizing the eerie similarities to Evelyn's case: abduction without obvious force, personal items left behind. Months passed with no body, the case joining Evelyn's on the unsolved pile. Spring arrived, melting the snow and revealing nature's rebirth. But in Willow Creek Forest Preserve, the thaw uncovered horror. Hikers found Jessica's remains in a makeshift grave not far from Evelyn's, decomposed but identifiable by dental records. The autopsy mirrored the first: strangulation, hands bound with electrical tape, defensive bruises. And missing? Her silver locket necklace, a cherished heirloom containing a faded photo of her late mother. It was no coincidence. Back at the precinct, Klein and Ruiz spread out files in their cramped office, walls papered with photos and timelines. Maps on corkboards showed red pins marking abduction sites and body dumps. "This guy's escalating," Ruiz said, rubbing his temples as he sipped lukewarm coffee from a styrofoam cup. Klein paced, her boots thudding on the linoleum. "This guy is escalating. Both women lived alone or were isolated at the time. No alarms, no dogs, easy targets." Klein paced, her boots thudding on the linoleum. "And the trophies, personal jewelry. He's not just killing, he's collecting memories. Classic serial killer behavior." She recalled profiles from FBI seminars: organized offenders, methodical, often blending into society. The media frenzy erupted. The Chicago Tribune splashed "Elmwood Strangler strikes again" across front pages, tabloids sensationalizing with lurid details. Residents panicked. Hardware stores selling out of locks and motion lights. Neighborhood watch groups formed, patrolling streets with flashlights and walkie-talkies. Mark Harrison went further, purchasing a Remington shotgun from a gun shop in the suburbs. He hid it under the bed, loaded, despite Laura's vehement protests. "We have children, Mark. This isn't who we are." But Mark's eyes had a haunted look. His commutes felt longer, his nights sleepless. Suspicions ran rampant. Fingers pointed to transients, ex-cons in the area, even the mailman with a shady past. Klein interviewed dozens. Alibis checked, polygraphs administered, but nothing stuck. No fingerprints at the scenes, no DNA. The killer was glove-wearing careful, perhaps forensically aware from TV shows or books. A potential break came from Jessica's bar night. A witness, a bartender named Rico, recalled a man in his 40s approaching her. Average build, brown hair, glasses, nondescript in a flannel shirt. He bought her a drink, they chatted, seemed harmless. Sketch artists worked with Rico, producing a composite that hit the evening news. It could be half the men in Chicago. Unremarkable, forgettable. Victor Lang emerged as a person of interest. He'd rented the house at number 52 6 months before Evelyn's murder, fresh from a divorce in Ohio. At 45, he was a burly auto mechanic at a garage in nearby Oak Park, specializing in foreign cars. He kept to himself, his garage a workshop of tools and engine parts, the radio blaring classic rock late at night. Neighbors whispered about his reclusive nature. No visitors, no waves, just the occasional nod. Klein and Ruiz knocked on his door one rainy evening. Victor answered, wiping grease from his calloused hands with a rag. "Officers? What's this about?" His voice was gruff but steady. They questioned him about his whereabouts during the disappearances. He provided work logs, gas receipts, solid alibis. But Klein's gut twisted. His composure felt rehearsed, his eyes avoiding direct contact. A search warrant days later turned up nothing. No tape, no jewelry, just oily rags and spare parts. Still, she authorized discreet surveillance, an unmarked car parked down the block. Meanwhile, tension brewed in the Harrison household. Emily's nightmares started, dreams of shadows in the yard waking her screaming. Tommy regressed, wetting the bed for the first time in years. Laura confided in her sister over phone calls. Mark's obsessed. He watches the news constantly, jumps at every noise. Mark's paranoia grew. He installed peepholes, checked locks obsessively. Unbeknownst to all, Mark harbored his own demons. In college, back in Ohio, he'd been involved in a hit-and-run after a frat party, fleeing the scene. The victim survived, but the guilt festered, making him see threats everywhere. Was it connected? He pushed the thought away. The third victim hit in April 1999. Patricia Patty Gomez, 45, was a dedicated nurse at St. Mary's Hospital, living at number 39 with her husband Raul, a factory worker. Patty was compassionate, often working double shifts, her scrubs always spotless. After a late shift, she vanished. Raul came home to an empty house, dinner simmering on the stove, spaghetti sauce bubbling over. The back door swung open, a chair overturned in the kitchen, shards of a broken plate on the floor. Weeks later, her body turned up in Willow Creek. Same modus operandi: strangled, taped, missing her nurse's watch, an engraved gift from Raul for their 20th anniversary. Now 3 victims, all Elmwood women, all abducted when alone. The FBI stepped in, Agent Tom Blackwell from Quantico profiling the killer. Tall and scholarly with wire-rimmed glasses, Blackwell reviewed the files. Organized, high-functioning, he concluded in a briefing. Likely local, with a job offering flexibility. Tradesman, salesman, grudge against women, perhaps from rejection or control issues. Eyes turned sharper on Victor. A tip-line caller claimed he'd argued with Patty in the hospital parking lot over a minor fender bender. Klein hauled him in. "I fixed her car once," Victor admitted under the harsh interrogation room lights. "She shorted me on payment, got mouthy, that's it." No concrete evidence, but the net tightened. Surveillance intensified. Tails on his truck. Summer 1999 sweltered, heat waves shimmering off asphalt. Klein's team dug into Victor's past. Domestic violence reports from his ex-wife, a restraining order filed during the divorce. It screamed suspect. They watched him round the clock, waiting for a slip. But fate twisted. In July, Laura Harrison disappeared. Mark returned from overtime at the office to find Emily and Tommy alone, playing board games in the living room. "Where's Mom?" he asked, heart pounding. The kitchen told the story. Flour dusted the counter for homemade pizza. A chair toppled, glass from a shattered vase crunching underfoot. The back door gaped open. Laura's wedding ring, which she removed while cooking to avoid dough buildup, was gone from its usual spot. The street erupted in chaos. Sirens, searchlights, neighbors clustering in rows. Mark collapsed in grief, interrogated for hours. "I was at work," he insisted, providing time cards. But whispers spread. The Harrisons had argued lately, finances strained by Mark's secret gambling habit. Emily and Tommy were shuttled to Laura's sisters, traumatized. Klein's search of the Harrison home yielded a bombshell. In the attic, amid dusty boxes, a stash of old newspapers, clippings of unsolved murders from Ohio dating back years. Mark was from Ohio, same as Victor. Coincidence? Blackwell delved deeper. The killer's intimate with victims' lives, not just watching, knowing. Forensics provided the clincher, a partial fingerprint on the tape from Patty's body, overlooked initially, matched not Victor, but Mark Harrison, pulled from his DMV records. Arrest came at dawn, SWAT bursting in. In custody, Mark crumbled under pressure. It started with Evelyn, he confessed, voice breaking. I was drowning in debt, gambling, stole checks from his mailbox. She caught me, threatened police. I panicked, followed her inside, strangled her to silence. Jessica? Approached her at the bar. She laughed off my advances, humiliated me. Patty? She knew about my affair with a coworker, threatened to tell Laura. And Laura? She discovered the debts, the lies, was leaving, taking the kids. I couldn't lose everything. The trophies, ring, locket, watch, and wedding band hidden in a locked toolbox in his garage, symbols of his twisted dominance. Victor was exonerated, a victim of circumstance.
Mark's 2000 trial captivated Chicago, courtroom packed with reporters. Prosecutors portrayed him as a wolf in sheep's clothing, a suburban dad masking monstrosity. Defense argued diminished capacity from stress, but retested DNA from scenes, recovered items, and his confession doomed him. Guilty. Life without parole at Stateville. Elmwood healed tentatively. Victor relocated, stigma clinging like smoke. The Harrisons' house sold to oblivious newcomers. Klein retired in 2002, case files haunting her dreams. Decades later, podcasts dissected the suburban strangler, emphasizing how evil hides in familiarity. Epilogue, Reflections. By 2025, Emily Harrison, 39 and a therapist, authored Shadows of My Father. The man who read me bedtime stories was a murderer, she shared in interviews. True crime teaches vigilance, but also forgiveness for survivors. The case spurred changes, community cameras, support groups. Yet Elmwood's scars endure, a reminder that danger often dwells next door.
Thanks for listening. If you want more cases from my old files, like the video and subscribe. There's plenty left in the casebook.